Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili nishmas yimim Rosh Yosef Mordechai. Shalom aleichem Mendy Yarvach. Here, give him a seat. Sit over here. Sit next to me. Rabbi Sai, listen to this email. My name is Yisrael Saffron from Cleveland, Ohio. I would like to introduce you to my father, Sigmund Zev Shapsai Saffron, also from Cleveland. He will Emir Hashem finish his fourth cycle of Sanhedrin. At 95 and a half years old, he's possibly your oldest Talmud. Although I did meet somebody in Baltimore, also in his 90s, but maybe not 95. Attached is a picture of him listening to Yeshir. Both he and I have been listening to Yeshir since Eruvin. My first cycle, which began with the beginning of Brachas, you're cordially invited to come to Cleveland to meet him and the rest of the Cleveland Chabura next time you're in the States. Thank you all for your Klal Yisrael Saffron. Wow. It's unbelievable. It's a moving picture. I believe it's the Satmar Rebbe's yahrzeit today, right? Yesterday? Yesterday, right. Okay, here's a quick clip. Oh, not this one, but Jonathan, look what you're doing to me. Here.
So when the Satmar Rebbe came to America, so there were very few Jews living in Williamsburg at the time. So he started a shiur. In the morning, he started a shiur for the island. So only like a few people.
Oy vey, what did I just do? No, I wanted to stop it to explain that I'm not the one that invented the whole email thing before share. Okay, here it goes. We'll start over here.
He started a shiur for the island. So only like a few people that came to the shiur. They came to the shiur, they opened up the Gemaras, and the Rebbe started going around the table. He said, Yaakov, how are you? How's your wife? How's your kids? And Moshe, how's the children? Did they get to school? They're asking questions to everybody, schmoozing and asking questions. They finished the shiur, they closed the Gemara, they didn't learn one word. The next day, they came again together, they sat around, they opened the star, and the Rebbe was going around asking everybody how they're doing and how their families. And so one of the Hasidim said, Rebbe, why was we schmoozing? We came to learn Gemara. He said, Rabbi said, the Gemara starts from Daf Yomi.
The problem is that?
So this is Daf Aleph. Daf Aleph is
it's not it.
You worry about it.
The Kitzur, what he said was that Shas starts, the Gemara starts in Daf Beis, but this is Daf Aleph. Oh, Rabbi Yoel, this is Daf Aleph. You hear, Jonathan?
Good morning, Osai.
That's not me, is it?
Funny.
It's my computer. It's Jonathan's kids, grandchildren. Okay, let's do it again. It's not working. We'll have to do it another time. Sorry. Here's this beautiful, beautiful jewelry store in Lakewood. And you'd think that it's messing up the whole decor over there, that sign in the back. But no, Torah comes first. Go check them out, Eternity Jewelers. What is this? Are you touching my computer? This is a license plate in New York. It's all a member, but it says join the DAF, 8minutedaf.com. Avrum Rosenzweig. I found this online in reference to a question whether elephants take care of her grandchildren. I'm not certain. It says within the group, grandmothers give their grandchildren special treatment, grooming them and disciplining them if they step out of line. Elephants often live in large families of babies, juveniles, and mothers, elephant herds. Somebody came over to me yesterday and brought up a very nice point that we once mentioned that the Medrash says that the only two animals that, what was it from, not the Mabul, Daraflaga. Daraflaga, humans turned into elephants and monkeys. And maybe those are the two only groups that actually take care of the grandchildren. It's not about the good morning, it's about the Yair Meyers, Kranzer's Gamenal, Yeshivas, Beis Yehuda, shout out to your Talmud, my brother-in-law, Heshi Hirth from Lakewood, came to Yeshua a few months back. Let's see if this one will work. Probably not. This is from Niagara Falls. I'm on vacation in Niagara Falls. My 9-year-old son enjoyed watching the shiur as always. 9-year-old watches the shiur. We decided to send you a hello.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai.
Get over here. All right, Kos, get over here for a second. I want to look at this, Rabbi Sai. You're 14 still?
Still almost.
Almost. Shalom Aleichem, coming all the way from Manchester, yeah? Yishkoach for the matana. He comes every time. He came to me for Purim. I had this Purim Suda by me with matanas. Good Shabbos, family Stefansky. It wouldn't happen without you. Family Kos. Yishkoyach in regards to your father. Get out of here. That's a new one now. Oh, and I'm supposed to open this thing up? Uh-oh. I get it. Mini Mando. Yishkoyach. Thank you, Rabbi Kornblue. Thank you. Oh my God. Okay, Shkoya. We have a tremendous year today. Jonathan Itzkowitz sent this picture of Yumi Rosenbaum doing the daf on Emirates Airlines going from Melbourne to Dubai. Now, what? He just landed in Manchester. I have to say Shkoya to both of them. There's a bunch of people who take the shir and send it out afterwards on WhatsApp through Yosef, a whole thing. They have to condense the shir. How many people are on WhatsApp these days? A few thousand? More than 2,000? More than 2,000 people just on WhatsApp. So Yishkoyach to Yumi and Yochanan Itzkowitz and whoever else is involved. The Koilo is sponsored by Anonymous for all the new people that joined. Zchus all the new people that joined. Also sponsored by Avi and Rachel Kamiansky in memory of Rachel's mother, Reza Gittel Bas Esther, who's also Dr. Epstein's wife. Rita should be a Melitza Yosher on behalf of us and our children. The Masech is sponsored by neshamos Yosef Baruch ben Moshe Aaron neshamos Elazar ben Shalom and for the hatzlacha for my children. Second sponsor of the Masech, Jeff Rosner, zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Sara Chana, Refuah Shlaima, Benjy Estie Israel, in memory of our Zayde Moshe Menora and 3 cousins, Sara Klein, Ricki Racheli Menora. No, every time I read it, it's the same thing over and over. 3 young kids and a grandfather killed on the same day. The neshamos should all have an aliyah. By Dr. Avrum Epstein, Parnas HaChodesh, in memory of my precious Southern Belle, wife, mother, and grandmother, Rita Gay Epstein. Parnas HaChodesh number 3, Michael Ben Mela, Motty Perl Aaron Hirsch, who's coming today to Israel to be zayde to make it to Uman Rosh Chana this year. He was just there yesterday. Okay, again. Lili Nishmas, Yair Meyers is the 4th Parnas HaChodesh. Today, Parnas HaYoim. We have a number of them. Zchus Mendel and Hudi Twersky by Zalman and Sara Twersky from Chicago. Mazel Tov, Reb Zalman, unbelievable addition to the share. The second sponsor of the day, Yair Meyers, in honor of my little brother's wedding tonight, Avram from Chicago and Shira from Bet Shemesh. In honor of 2 Chicago chasanas. In honor of my daughters, Toby and Suri, to get accepted in the right school. We should really daven for these kids. There's so many here. I must have heard of 20 different stories people told me about just this year, not getting into schools. It's a machla in Klal Yisrael. Hatzlacha, beruchnius ubigashmius. That's a 4th sponsor. 5th sponsor, Amir Fariver, in honor of Shalom Elazarian for his birthday and being the best basketball professor. Shalom Elazarian, Mazel Tov, one of the most unbelievable human beings that I know. Aser b'shvil shetis asher, sponsored by himself. 3 words. Aser b'shvil shetis asher. Today's parasha. Menachem Siegelstein in memory of Imi Merosi. Bracha Elisheva Bas Menachem Chavtes Menachem of. Rabbi say unbelievable daf today. I think I can remove this. No. Here. I'll take it. Okay, fine. Omar Ribilah. And if you notice, it's just Ribilah. We had 2 other things that were said from Usha yesterday with 2 names, 3 names. We'll go into it. Be'usha iskinu hamebazbez al yibazbez yoisem chaimish. A person who gives tzedakah is not permitted to give more than 20%. Maybe I shouldn't say he's not permitted. He shouldn't give more than 20%. So, first look at this, you could say, maybe that's the pshat in all the stingy gvirim that you know, that don't give a dime to tzedakah. They're very makfid on this. They don't want to bust the 20%, chas v'shalom, so against the 3-4%, they slow down a little bit. Maybe that's the pshat. The Chaim says, and I think that, seriously, after going through the sugya, Shalom Aleichem to all the guests, I see a lot of brand new faces, so Shalom Aleichem I will say later. Shalom Aleichem to Rachamim, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. Kids, okay, bunch of guys. So the Chavetz Chaim says, but first of all, I really think that everybody should ask their Rav. You have to tell your Rav how much you earn, how much you need to spend, and then based on that, he could give you a clear halacha, because it's not so clear from here. It says you shouldn't give more than 20%. What if you're Bill Gates? You have billions and billions of dollars, so you shouldn't give more than 20%? Rav Shlema paskin for very wealthy people, they should give at least 50%. But the Gemara says 20%. What's the point? We'll see in a second. Because we don't want a person to come to a point where he has to come on to others. So if he's Bill Gates, obviously he's never going to come on to others if he gives 30% of his income. So you have to think it out and understand this and know what you're doing. The Chaim says this doesn't apply to somebody who's machzik Torah. Supporting Torah is not, it goes above 20%. Okay, so that's that. Soft sales pitch. This is machzik Torah. This is also other things. Okay. Moshe Feinstein, by the way, I like to mention all the time, he says about learning with others. Just like you have to give meiser from your money, you have to give meiser of your time and learn with other people 10% of your day. That's what he says. So I had a suffix when I was learning the Gemara, are you allowed to learn more than 20% with other people? So that's why maybe I stopped that second shir in the afternoon. Okay. Zog the Gemara. Tanya nami hachi. You shouldn't, in Hebrew, bizbuz is a waste. But okay, interesting lashon, different pshatim. You shouldn't spend more than 20% on tzedakah. Shema yitztarech labriyos. We don't want you to fall onto others. That's a big no-no. Make sure you don't have to come onto others. So make sure you know you manage your wealth properly. There was someone, the Gemara is going to tell us who maybe, who wanted to give more than a chaimish. By the way, if you all remember, Mesechtes Tainus, we had Daf Chav Daled. There was, I forgot his name. Oh, Rebbe Eliezer ben Bisar, I think his name was. Every time the Gabayim of Tzedakah saw him, instead of him running away, they used to run away from him because he used to try to give them money. And they asked over the Rishonim, how could you give more than 20%? There is a concept of giving more than 20%. Moshe goes into it and he asks a question, he says, is it asur to give more than 20%? Or it's a good eitzah not to give 20%? And at the end he comes out that it's asur. Based on the Ramah, the lashon of the Ramah says you shouldn't give, don't give. And then he goes into different people that could give. So everybody asked the Rav, that's what I'm saying, it's each and every individual. One thing is clear, before I forget, and it's not so clear, but it seems from the Gemara and also Al Pi Kabbalah, that if you do give 20%, don't give it in one shot. Give 10 and 10. 10 and 10 is better than 20, as we're going to see in a second. So he wanted to give more than 20%, and his friend wouldn't allow him. Again, you see the idea of an Isra maybe. Umanu Rabbi Yeshevav. Who's the friend that didn't allow him? Rabbi Yeshevav. V'amrillah, Rabbi Yeshevav. It's Rabbi Yeshevav that wanted to give the 20%, not the one that stopped the 20%. And his friend wouldn't allow him. Umanu Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is the one that didn't allow Rabbi Yeshevav. Not Rabbi Yeshevav didn't allow some other Tana. But at the end of the day, maybe Rabbi Yeshevav was very, very poor. And that's why Rabbi Akiva didn't allow. So that's why you have to ask your Rav. Where do you see this in the pasuk? We missed it by a little bit. This is in Bereshis. Aser Asrenu. This week's parsha is Aser ta Aser. The Gemara brings another pasuk in Bereshis. Everything you give me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm going to give you Meiser. 10 plus 10. Says the Gemara, you don't need a chart for this, but I was running out of charts. Here you have. Chart on the right is $100. So you give 10% of that, that equals 10. What are you left with? 90. So how much is 10% of 90? 9. So 9 plus 10 equals 19. So how do you get to 20? You're telling me you shouldn't give more than 20%. But it says Aser, first take 10%, and then Asred will take 10% what's left over. So you're doing Aser to Aser, is 10% what's left over. It only adds up to 19, not 20. Omer Avashi Asrenu lebasra kikamo. Aser Asrenu means, says Rashi, you should have said another lashon. Aser to Aser. What's Aser Asrenu? So the different lashon of Asrenu instead of to Aser teaches us that the second meiser should be the same amount as the first meiser. So if the first meiser was 10, so the second time you take meiser should be also 10. Together you have 20. You see the idea though, Aser, Asrenu, Aser ta Aser, give 10 plus 10, at least in your mind when you're giving tzedakah, say I'm giving the first 10% for the meiser, the second 10% for the chaimish. It works better like that. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Shimi bar Ashi, Ushmuis halalu misma'atois v'holchois. These sayings that we said over from Usha get less and less. They start out with 3, go down to 2, then to 1. V'simonech ktanim chasvu ubizbazu. Omar Rav Yitzchak. Usha skinu. Nah, I'm kidding. There's a chart for this. The first halacha that we learned yesterday is that Yazan Banav Ktanim, that in Usha they said that if you have smaller children above 6 but below 13, you should feed them. So who was it said in? Rabbi Eli said it in the name of Rish Lakish, in the name of Yehuda ben Chanina, so that's 3. The next halacha is Hakaisef Kol Nechasu Levanav, that crazy case where a person gives everything to his sons and then the sons try to put him in a nursing home. So that was in the name of Rabbi Eli, in the name of Rish Lakish. It's the same people, but now we dropped Rabbi Yehuda ben Chanina, so it's only 2. This halacha that we just said today, 3 lines down, is Hamibazbiz Ayizbazbiz Yosef Mechoimish, was said only in the name of Rabbi Eli. So it's 3, 2, 1. If you want to remember 3, 2, 1, and who said it, so you have to remember Ktanim HaKoisev Hamibazbiz. You have to remember, you hear? Leiby, the test is coming up soon. The 120 daf test, the 30 daf test tomorrow. Okay. 3, 2, 1. But you have to first remember Ktanim Koisev Hamibazbiz. If you remember that, you can remember 3, 2, 1. Omar Rav Yitzchak. Bu'usha iskinu shi adam mizgalgel in benoi ashtem shana. I thought it's cool. It's a lashon. It's a sprach from English. You should roll with him. Mizgalgel means in the Hebrew to roll. You roll with him. In other words, if he doesn't want to learn Torah, you go easy on him. A lot of this Gemara, I think, is going to be a big shocker for us Americans with the new style of chinuch that we have. Until 12 years old, you roll. Mikan ve'elach yored imay l'chayav. This, do not go home and tell your wives about. Rashi says, you take your strap out, you start whipping him, and you also deny him some food. Okay? I was thinking about it, and this is very, very controversial, and when I first got married, I bought into this whole notion, can't lay your hand on your children, the whole thing. And then I looked around, and I was like, okay, first of all, whatever. But you look around in the world, what happened to generation? It's a generation where children scream at the Rabbeim in school, they could hit the Rebbe, they have no respect for elders, they have no respect for their teachers, they have no respect for anyone, for themselves. What happened? This great chinuch that we're doing in America, unbelievable. Can't talk. Maybe the old people, maybe they knew what they're doing. Maybe. Don't say Eli Stefansky said beat up your kids, chas v'shalom. But maybe that little patch, I don't know. I went with that system, I don't know. Look around. Ask yourself the question. What happened? People shooting up people in schools every day. Okay. There was the biggest psychologist in Chicago. I once had this argument with him. Mamash, he was going on and on. He said, Rav Volbe, the biggest mechanech in our generation, says it's also to touch your kids. So I said, you're wrong. Rav Volbe, in Zriya, Ubinyan Bechinuch, in the Sefer, he says you shouldn't hit your kids. And then he says, however, and check this out, I didn't have the Sefer, but look it up. Zriya, Ubinyan Bechinuch, I remember some Daf Aleph. Anybody has the Sefer, bring it to me, I'll show you where it is. He says, but if the mother comes home, for instance, he says, Mamash B'Zeh, if the mother comes home and the children are mamash out of control, jumping up and down on the bed, give the kids a few smacks. For that you smack, and that's what you're telling me that he said you never lay your hand on a kid? Kids said, okay. He said, let me see it inside. I showed him inside. Oh, okay. Fine. Zog the Gemara. I mean, these are, okay, I'm not just, Ayin Rashi, Ayin Sham. Eini, Rav Shmuel Bar Shelas, Botzimir Bar Shis Loitek Habel. Rav Shelas was a very famous Rebbe, a Mechanach. So Rav told him, don't accept kids that are younger than 6 years old into the Cheder. Bar Shis, Kabel, but from 6 years old on, Usafi like a Torah, force feed him like you force feed an ox. So you see that you should be tough with a 6-year-old. In Safi like a Torah, yeah, you can force him Torah, but you don't beat him, you don't hit him, you don't do it until 12 years old. Another pshat is loikashi. Holy mikra, holy mishnah. So they ask the question, it says in Pirkei Avos, 5 years old you start learning, but over here it says 6, maybe it means the beginning of the, okay, holy mikra. When you're 6 years old, you start learning Chumash, and when you're 12 years old, Mishnayos. Damar Abaya, Amr. The famous, I only found like 20 maybe of Amr Li'ayim, so it's all over Shas. And again, I like to say this every time. In Gittin, we found a Marsha that says that there's a lot of Kabbalah sprinkled out through Shas in different places, and one of them is Amr Li'ayim. It's more like a Kabbalistic side over here. What does she say? Bar Shis L'Mikra, Bar Asar L'Mishnah, usually she gives advice in Refuah and this and that. Over here, all of a sudden she's getting involved in Chinuch. 6 years old for Psukim, for Chumash, 10 years old for Mishnah. Bar Tleisar L'Tanisa, 13 years old for a Tainus. As Rashi, 13 years old for a Tainus, it's in the Pasuk. You don't need the mother of Abaya. Says Rashi, so 13 means the year of 13, the year before, from 12. Me'ez Le'ez, the Tainus of 24 hours. Ubetinaikes, and a girl, Bas Tresar, 12 years old, in other words, the year of 11, what we call 11. Omer Abai, Omer Li'ayim, my stepmother told me, Hai Bar Shis, the 6-year-old, the Tarkale Akraba, scorpion bit him, Biyoima the Mishlim Shis, on the day that it's his birthday, on his birthday, Shalom Aleichem is your birthday present, scorpion bites him, Lo Ichaye, he is not going to live. Maya Sute, but there is some sort of remedy. This is a secret remedy. Mirarta de Dayo, you take. This, I just had a picture of somebody force feeding somebody. I just thought it was funny when I saw it. This is a vulture. I really wanted to see one. I wasn't able to see it. If you look in Rashi, very interesting. Rashi di Ramaskal Mirarta de Dayo. I thought it's interesting. Mara Shaldaya Shekairim. Look, anybody see it? Vulture. It's a vulture. And on the side, in the Hagaz Tzionim, he says, Oif, I can't read it, it's Doiris. I can't manage the words of two. Ois Doiris, it's a bird of prey, Balknofang Doilois. Here, I have a picture. It's about 6 to 7 feet in width. That's his wingspan. He doesn't have, look at him, he's bald on his neck and his head, mamish like this Hagaz Tzionim. He's missing his feathers from his head and his neck. And he eats corpse, he eats dead animals. I think this is one of the only animals in the world that you're not allowed to eat. Like, Goyim won't eat this. If you eat treif, you don't eat this animal. It's full of rat meat, etc. It's a terrible tasting bird. Alcohol upon him. And then without them, who knows what would happen. They take care of a lot of stuff. A lot of, all the diseases, the dead animals. 100 of these, if the animal dies, 100 of these, in 3 minutes, the animal is gone. Zog the Gemara. So what do you do if you get bit by a scorpion on your birthday, the 6th birthday? So you take the bile of this vulture. Chivarta, that has to be a white one. This supposedly is called a white vulture. Beshichra, in a little beer. Neshafye, you rub the wound. Veneshkaye, you let the kid drink from this unbelievable mixture of vulture bile and beer and Shalom Yisrael. Hai bar shata, the Tarik le zibura b'yoyim de mishlam. Interesting, because the Gemara in Avodah Zarah brings like these two, the scorpion and the bee, or the wasp. The wasp, I think, is the hot one, and the scorpion is the cold one. And they go together, these two, the scorpion and the bee. But if a kid gets stung by a bee or a wasp, on his birthday, he's not going to live. There was a guy, his wife was dying in the hospital. So the doctor calls him to the side, says, I got a shmooze. He says, listen, your wife she's dying. But there's one eitzah. If you show her affection, you show her some love, she'll come out of it. So the wife sees him schmoozing with the doctor. He says, what did he say? He said, you're going to die, you have no chance. Says, this kid is going to die. Loi chaya, no chance. Maya sute. But there is some sort of remedy. Atzvasa de dikla b'maya, you take some of this siv de dikla, this some sort of thing that grows around the palm tree with water. Neshafye, and you rub the area of an eshkaya, and you let him drink from it. If you let him go into yeshiva, cheder, learn, less than 6 years old, So you see from this whole sugya that learning Torah is something, Torah mateshes koich shel adam, it takes away the energy of a person. So this kid's going to be so weak, you're going to chase him and try to give him medicine and your whole life, and you weaken them up. It's not a good idea. And some say, some say that you chase after him, his friends are going to chase him to catch up in his learning abilities, and they're not going to get to him. I don't really read books, and even if I do, I just read the first 2 pages, then I go on to the next one. ADD, yeah. There's a book that I really liked a lot. It's called Outliers, a famous book by Malcolm Gladwell, yeah. And over there, he discusses this idea of, you notice that these, I don't know if it's true or not, it just sounds too good to be true. The best hockey players in the world were all born between, let's say, January and February. What's pshat? And then he did some research, he realized that that's the cutoff line for school. So if they were born in those months, they never made it into first grade. So because they didn't make it into first grade, they were left behind the year, and therefore they were always 16% stronger and bigger and smarter than all the kids in their class. So they were the best in hockey at that age. Because they're the best in hockey at that age, they always went on the traveling teams, and Mamela, that's how it goes. And Mamela, it's a yahrzeit in learning. Over here, it's almost the reverse. Like you started early, he's saying started late, but you can have an advantage on other kids, and that's what the Gemara is saying. You can have an advantage on other kids depending on when you start. If you start earlier, you're asking to that yahrzeit, Minahal, Levi Freeman?
Another year in God always helps them.
You should have told my father before he skipped me 3 grades. Look
how well that turned out.
Yeah. I always wanted to have that shmuz with him. What were you thinking, Abba? Never. Okay, leave the kid back. I'm 100% but never skip your kid. If you ever want to skip, don't do it. It's not a good idea. Okay, fine. Take it from me. His friends can never catch up to him. V'tarvayu isnu, says the Gemara. V'tarvayu isnu. Cholish v'gamir. If he's weak, v'gamir. So you could have both of these ideas. If, what's the first one? So either he's going to be, if he's weak, the kid is weak, cholish, then you don't put him in. If you do put him in, you're never going to catch up to him. But at the end of the day, he's going to be weak, this kid, but he's going to be a very good learner. Okay, fine. You put him in early. So there's, like today, you see today, there's always pros and cons for skipping grades, not skipping grades, but cholish, the kid is going to be weak physically, he'll be a better learner. Ibai Seima. Hadi kachish, you could say the nafkamir between the two cases, the two things. One, if he's weak, you're going to chase after him, and if he's very healthy, then it's good for him. The friends will never catch up to him in learning. Another takana that he said in Usha. Here we're just going through Usha things. Don't fall asleep on me. The Gemara is mamish, interesting stuff here. A woman who brought in a nursing home into her marriage. Her husband is allowed to benefit from all the income, but the actual building is still the woman. She goes ahead and she sells the building to somebody when her husband is still alive. Now when she dies, what happens? The building goes to the husband. It's a Yerusha. But she jumped the gun, she sold it first. So Midar Raisa, what happens is the husband is a Yairish. And what? Yeah. He's a Yairish. And what happens when the person's a Yairish? The father owns a nursing home, and then he sells it right before he dies. It's a great sale. the Yarishim could jump up and down. So over here also, he's just a Yairish. He's about to inherit. She sold it. No. We're going to make him into a buyer, into a purchaser. And if he's a buyer or purchaser, we're going to do it retroactive. Once she dies, he retroactively purchased it the day of their wedding. And therefore, she had no right to sell it after she already sold it to her husband. Or that the father sold it to the husband. So, the husband could go and take it back. He was standing there in front of a bunch of people. Who's the author of this Shmua, Amarle, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina is the one that said that the husband is more like a purchaser and he could grab it back from whoever bought it from the wife. Says the Gemara, and we had this in this Masechta, Tana Minei Arba'in Zimnin. He repeated this over to himself 40 times. V'damile Keman de Manchale Bekiste. It's as if it's in his pocket. Sometimes the Gemara uses the lashon of in a box. A pocket, some say, is Adam Asim Mashmesh Bekisa B'chol Shah. We all learned it when we were kids in Bav Metzia. When you do Yiyush, so if it falls out, and a person always checks his pocket. If it's money, usually it's gone. There's no. You say Adam Asim Mashmesh. So over here also Mashmesh Bekisa. Says the Gemara, Ashrei Shomer Mishpatos Tzedakah. It's like I got the Gemara boys. I guess Shemaka stuff. Praiseworthy the person who's oised tzedakah b'chalais. He does tzedakah all day long. V'chiev shalas tzedakah b'chalais. How's it possible? You give tzedakah all day long? There's some people like the wealthy people in Tehran. They have days. They just give tzedakah all like hours apart, but all your entire life. Dorsh Rabbi Seinu Shibiyavna v'Amri Lo Rabbi Eliezer Ze'azam Bonav Uvnoisav K'Shem Kanim. Unbelievable. So on the one hand, we're saying that you're not a nice guy if you don't support your kids, but you should know. By supporting your children, you are being mekayim mitzvah tzedakah all day and night. The Michtav Melio brings this Gemara, and he says that people use this Gemara as an excuse why they work. They work so much. It's like, why do people work so much? So you have to make a shtalis for parnasa. I talk about this all the time. Nobody cares. But why are you working all day? Learn more. So they use this as, but I'm doing tzedakah. I'm being mefarnes my children. So he says, okay. He says, so personally, he says a very nice thing. He says, you have to think about it. If when you go to work, as you're working, all of a sudden you start thinking about the Rebbeinu Shalom and how you could be a better Oved Hashem, then okay. Then you went to work, L'Shem Shamayim, the whole thing. But if while you're davening Shemona Esrei, you're thinking about work, now you have problems. When you're busy with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're thinking about work, that means that when you're at work, you're not thinking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're not going to work for the right purpose. You're going to work. Okay, you get what I'm saying. Zog the Gemara. Rabbi Shmuel ben Achmeni Omar, Zamagadli Yosoim v'Yisoimo b'Soich Beisoi Umasiyon. This is a person who brings up a Yosam and a Yisoima in his house, and he marries them off. Eliyakim Aronoff, what? He's going to see something. Levite. Test it all day. So, Eliyakim Aronoff told me this morning, he told me his father, he's the guy in the Koil and he's in the Ar Merkaz. You want to see, I think he has like, what is it called in Ar Merkaz? Think about it, something like that. So, he's a tremendous Talmud Chacham, the whole thing. He scores in the 90s on the 1,000 daf test. So he told me his father brought up two Yisayimim, but he said there's a big problem because if she's a Yisayimah, she's not your own daughter, there's a problem of yichud and there's a problem of touching her. So I thought this is incredible. I was very touched by this. His father, when he gave brachas to his kids on Shabbos, he stopped putting his hand on his kids' heads so that this girl shouldn't be hurt. Everybody got a bracha, but he stopped putting his hand on her head. I thought it was unbelievable. Said this morning he told this to me. He has fortune and wealth in his house. If you learn Torah and you teach it, so your tzedakah stays forever. You can write a Torah and Nevi'im umashilon and you lend it to other people, so it stays there forever. You should see children to your children, grandchildren, Shalom Yisrael. Once you have grandchildren, it's Shalom. Why? It's a terrible thing to do chalitza and yibum. Once you have the next generation, so everybody's out of that terrible idea of chalitza and yibum. I heard a nice pshat that when sometimes parents fight with the children, there's a friction between a father and a son. But once the son has a child and the son realizes how many sleepless nights he had, and how many this and how many that, then he realizes, wow, look what my father did for me. And he realizes the chesed and the akar satayv, and that. So then he comes back to the father. So that's Reivanu Levanecha Shalom. All the grandfathers are going like this. All Okay, fine. If you have children, so then there's not going to be fights about Yerusha, according to Rashi, because everybody knows exactly these are the three children, they get the Yerusha. Unfortunately, even with that, there's sometimes fight. But if there's no children, then you have to know, you give it to the uncle, to the cousin, there's a lot of fighting. We said in the Mishnah, that since it says in the Kesuba, that the sons, Yarshin, and the daughters get Mezainas, it's just like the sons Yarshin after Misa, so too the daughters get Mezainas after Misa. Says the Gemara, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Zach the Rocklin and Lenny Lerner CPA, and also the zchus being able to support them and not turn to finish learning Shas with their belly. Yosef Rabbi Yosef coming to Rav Nuna, Yosef Rav Nuna v'Kalmar. Yerusha, inheritance, is only from real estate, not from cash. So too, when you give child support, it's only from real estate, not from the liquid assets. Everybody started screaming at him. You could only inherit the real estate. You can't inherit stocks, cash. Perhaps this is what we had yesterday. Bonim Dichrin. What's that? That in the Ksuba, a person writes that if he has another wife, that the sons from each wife are going to inherit that Ksuba, whatever that Ksuba is. Sometimes it has more, sometimes it has less. It's not fair that the assets from this Ksuba should go to children that weren't beared by that woman. So that's a Tnai in the Ksuba. That is only from real estate. But the regular Yerusha is everything. Omar lei, Mar de Rabba. Oh, you're such a great man, Rabbi Yosef. Who yada my kamina? That you understood the depths of what I was trying to say. Omar Ricki Racheli Yosef. Rav Zon mechite dalia. When Yisai Ma, a girl, came to Rav and said, I don't have what to eat. So he said, give her from the metaltalin. Give her from the wheat that's in the attic. The aliyah. What does aliyah mean? Give her. How does Rav know where the wheat are? He knows it's in the attic. What if it's in the basement? Ibaylohu. Parnasa Havia. Was she coming to get her nedunya? The dowry that a father gives to his daughter, a lot of stuff, pianos and stuff, so that people should marry her. Umay aliyah. And what did Rav mean by go to the attic? Mi iluyah from the best of the father. Give her the best. When it comes to giving to the daughters when they get married. So a father is nifter, loyalenu. The daughter is getting married. How much do you give her? Well, it's very easy. If he gave the first daughter $20,000, a piano, and a set of china, so he'd do the same thing. Or let's say she didn't have a sister. If he's a very giving guy, he's always giving people, he's always doing, so you have to give her a lot. If he's a stingy guy, so you don't give her anything. It's shaman, you have to assess it. In the father, whatever each father is. Or perhaps what's going on here is she came for, I need bread, I'm starving. I'm not talking about extras, I'm talking about bread. Umay aliyah. And what did he mean by the attic? Midvarim toivim shenemru ba'aliyah. This is from the chidushim that we said in the aliyah that you still give a daughter from metaltalin and not just from real estate. Okay, so now we have a shaila. There's a girl who comes for child support. Could she get from the liquid assets? Tashma. Bidei de Rebbe Banoi, in the hands of Rebbe Banoi, who happened to be Achua de Rebbe Chia bar Abba, who's the brother of Rebbe Chia bar Abba, have a metalton they asked me. He was the representative of these young orphans, and he had liquid assets. They were boys. The girls, the sisters of these boys, could receive support just to eat from those liquid assets, from the metaltalin. My love, the mezayna l'chayr, that story happened about just food. And he holds that you can take from liquid assets. It was just the extras for the wedding. And Shmuel holds that you assess the father, what he would give. Says the Gemara, there was the same story. The girls came, they lost their father, they need to eat. And they paskined that you could take from the metaltal. Pumbedisa, and the same story happened in Pumbedisa. Rav Chana bar Bizna, and Rav Chana bar Bizna also took from the metaltalin. Rav Nachman Zila Hadru. You dayanim who passing that you take from the liquid assets, you better return it. V'loy, and if you don't return it, magbina lechu lapandaichu minaichu. I'll take your mansions away from you. I'll take it back from your own personal assets. You have no business giving these girls something that halachically is not theirs. Rabbi Ami v'Rabbi Asi sober lemezam mimetatali. They wanted to paskin that the girls could get from liquid assets. Amrlu Rabbi Yaakov Baridi. Milsa de Riyachim v'Shlachish. The greatest Amoraim that lived. Loyavdu ba'uvda. They didn't know. Atun avdim ba'uvda. And you know better than Rabbi Yochanan Shlakish, and you're going to pass him that the girls could get from metaltalin? Don't do it. Rabbi Elazar saw the amazing metaltalin. Rabbi Elazar wanted to do it. Rabbi Shimon ben Eliakim. Oh, Eliakim. You see, we mentioned Eliakim. Here he is. Rabbi Yudari b'cha she'ein midas hadin ata oisa. Ela midas rachmanas. If you remember yesterday, the final thing that we said in the shir was that somebody came and kissed the feet of Rabbi Yonasan. Who was it over there? Something like that. And why did he kiss his feet? Because he went outside of the halacha. If it was the halacha, he wouldn't kiss his feet. So sometimes when it comes to Yerusha, that was a father who gave all his neshamos to his kid, they paskin that the son has to support him. Why? Because he went above and beyond the law. It was midas chasidus. So here also, I see that you're having rachmanas on these yisaimas. You're allowed to paskin like that. It's not la halacha. If you open up the Shulchan Aruch black and white, says do not give the girl from the liquid assets. But you went above and beyond. But I have a problem with that. You know why? Just yesterday, I don't know if it was the Selim. There's two people there. Avi Shur, it could have been, or Selim, the guy from England, came over to me and said, I think it was Shur maybe, I just don't remember. But Mamish, this Gemara, he said he's at a chasana. I don't know why he told me, but it's not get there. He's at a chasana, and there's a plastic bag under the chuppah on the table. So I forgot which one of the brisker Rosh Yeshivas said, please remove the bag from the table. Put it on the floor. Okay. So then, after when he comes over to him, the Rosh Yeshiva says, you probably are wondering why I told you to take off the bag from the table. Because I don't want people to think that under a chuppah you have to have a bag on the table. And that, I said this mice over, that the brisker Rav once had a broom in the room while I was doing B'dilas Chametz. He said, take out the broom, huh? By Chanukah? Okay, by Chanukah. He said, take the broom out so that people don't think that you need a broom before you light. So I heard that in Bris today, they bring the broom in and then they take the broom out. All right. Zog the Gemara. No, it's Ma'aser Shaya. I forgot what Chasidus, maybe Satmar, I don't want to say, but I think it's a Ma'aser Shaya. The Rebbe, after the mikvah, would cut his nails. So Chasidim started doing it. And then they finally asked the Rebbe, like years later, why do you cut your nails after the mikvah? He says, because that's when it's soft. It's not like a chiyuv to do it. But okay, but the Talmidim will see it. So you're trying to be nice to these girls, you're rachmanas, but that's not halacha. You have to tell people that's not halacha. Here's a picture. Take from the dates that are on the mats. They dry them out on mats. What are these dates? Metaltalin or real estate? These are metaltalin. They're not attached to the ground. Abaya, the famous Talmud of Yosef, if we're talking about returning a loan and he comes and he's only goyver from Shubadim, this is not karka, this is metaltalin. I didn't say on the mat. I said they're on the tree. They're attached to the tree. They're ready. They're ripe, and they're ready to be on a mat. The famous halacha that if it's ripe enough that you could take it off the tree. So it's as if it's taken off the tree. It's already metaltalin. No, I said that they're not ripe yet. Give them from the real estate, from the karka, something that's attached to the tree that's not ripe, not ready to be nigzaz. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day.